What is the most common cause of excavator downtime? If you've seen part one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, go check it out today. As promised, part two. This system is responsible for millions, not millions, tens of millions of hours in downtime and premature failures. It's Pat from North Oz Heavy, and today we are going all in on part two of the most common cause of excavator downtime. So in part one of the most common cause of downtime, we went through a basic system. So today we're going to go through in the more complicated system, the A and B type system. It has the same fundamentals, right, as a basic system, but with a few extra valves in there. If you want to save millions in downtime and avoid failures like this one and this one, this is the episode for you. So let's go. So before we dive into how it works, we need to know what's in the system, right? So to start off with, we have a controller either located in the cab that contains our logic. We have a pump which creates our flow. This is a servo-driven pump, hydraulically driven. Remember, when we're testing these pumps, always at high idle. Then we have a normally closed on and off hydraulic solenoid. We have a normally open dump valve in these, and then we have a changeover valve. This is what switches our system once it makes pressure from line A to line B. Then we have pressure switches or pressure transducers. This is what reads the system pressure and feeds back to our controller. And in this system we utilize the VSG and VSL type injectors. They're either a 2, 4 or 8 style injector bank. And then to add to that, we have the end of line initiators, right? That's what's in it. Now let's go into how it works. So now we know what's in it, here's how it works. So our controller runs a cycle every 600 to 300 seconds depending on the site's demands. So you know this time can be adjusted. It's difference between every site. We always run these cycles at high idle. Why is that? Because our servo oil is generally supplied by a gear pump, which means it can make pressure but it doesn't have the flow, so that gear pump's got to turn faster to make our flow. So we're always doing these checks on high idle. So we power up our pump solenoid and our dump valve, right? System pump starts kicking in, and then we are looking for end of line initiator. That should switch at about 80 to 120 bar, just depends on the circuit, but that's where I've found they generally switch at. Then the controller waits to see system pressure hit 250 bar. It's in the prescribed time, right? So when it's once it hits our 300 seconds or 600 seconds, whatever it is, runs a cycle, it needs to see the initiator switch over from line 1 to line A to line B, and then it needs to make 250 bar in the prescribed time. So if it doesn't make it in the prescribed time, it'll flag a fault. Now, once we've made pressure, it drops our servo oil away from our pump, and then it holds the dump valve on for a prescribed amount of time, and this checks for injector leakage or splice system leakages. So if it's 15 seconds and it holds 250 bar, boom, no worries, it'll then switch over. But if it sees a rapid drop of, say, you know, from 250 to 220, it all depends on the controller's logic, it will flag a fault. So then the system dumps and starts again. So, but this time when the system powers up, it powers our hydraulic solenoid, our dump valve and our changeover valve. Our changeover valve is what switches it from line A to line B. So it utilises the same pump for line A and line B, and that's how it does it with our changeover valve. So then it runs its cycle, it sees that initiator switch over at 80 to 120 bar, and then it needs to see 250 bar, all good. Once it makes it in that prescribed time, system's all okay, no faults, that's a healthy system, right? Next we're going to run through how to approach a system that's faulting, and I'm going to give you some pointers to look out for. Alright, so approaching an excavator that has a grease fault. Basics. To start off with, before we even go climbing up the stairs and wasting our time, we're going to go look for a line leak. You know, if it's a shovel, go and have a look in your backboard, because they can hide at times. And you know, it's a large system, so go and have a look under the excavator, because they can rupture a line down in the middle there, right? Then we go and check our level. The amount of times that I've gone to an excavator, it's not pumping, not making pressure, and there's no grease in it, right? So for example, the service truck's pump is starting to get tired and not filling it up. They're filling it up every day, but they're not filling it up enough, right? So then to start off with, we're going to go high idle. Why do we go to high idle? Because these systems are run off servo pressure. These pumps run off servo oil. So you can make pressure at low idle, but what don't we get? We don't get the flow out of it, right? So high idle, run a cycle. All right, for example, line A doesn't make pressure. Simple. Make sure your lights on your dump valve and your manual actuation on your pump on and off solenoid. Go and push them, see if they're working, and then go make sure these are lighting up, right? Now, if you want something simple and quick, go get your Milwaukee battery, like in the videos, and just pull you got your lights for your dump valve and your pump on and off solenoid. Rip your changeover valve off. Boom, power your changeover valve up and switch it over to line B. Now, if it makes pressure on line B, you're just going to have to look a bit harder, because that's telling you that your dump valve and your pump are good. If not, if you're not making pressure on line B and it's the same and it's tired and it's slow to make pressure, it means that it's either going to be a sticky dump valve or our pump is tired. Most of the time, it's just a sticky dump valve. The pumps are super reliable. I've seen a lot of pumps replaced over the years due to misdiagnosis, right? So we've eliminated, by changing it over, that eliminates components, and that's the game, right? We're all about elimination. So if both systems are making pressure, then we're looking at initiator issues, right? So our initiators should change over at that 80 to 120 bar. If our initiators are not changing over at 80 to 120 bar, this will cause a fault, and these initiator harnesses are very fragile. So we go to our initiators, and simple as this, right? The end of line initiators, either on the front or the back of the stick, or sometimes they put them up in underneath the boom there. We literally pull the initiators out and we go and see if we can activate them and get our little lights to light up. And if they don't light up, boom, we know that we've got a wiring issue. If they do light up, initiator block, the injector block itself, it won't be shuttling across, right? Now, if you're making pressure, chances are it's just going to be a sticky spool. I've had a few of those spools get sticky, and you can remove, just replace them. It's the best to replace them. So, it also take into consideration, has a line been replaced on it recently? I've had this before where someone's replaced a line, not said anything about it, and they didn't purge it correctly, and then you get air in the system, and this will cause dramas with your initiator. So if your initiator's lighting up and you're making pressure, and you notice that there has been a line change, just crack the end of line, the last one, and run a bit of a cycle and see what comes out, right? There is some micro relays involved in this, but you can quickly eliminate them via seeing that your dump valve and your changeover valve and all that is powering up. You should be good, but that's it. That's just a basic overview of fault finding when it comes to these systems. So hopefully you've gotten something out of this. Grease systems are literally the most common cause of downtime. Spent a lot of time over the years working on these systems. So I know I said in the last episode that I was going to run through bucket setup, but I'll leave that for another episode. So hopefully you got something out of that. If you're still here, drop me a comment and subscribe. Cheers.